working. Yes. Okay, I think I'm live. We'll see. Oh, what did I just do? I'm so going to edit this out. So if you're just joining me, I don't know if there are people here or not. This is my first time of doing a live, and it is going great. I'm going to clean some tomatoes tonight. Tomato seeds. Oh, and that's not what that's supposed to do. All right. I'm going to give the room a few minutes to load. I am here. I'm going to be cleaning some giant garden paste. Woohoo! And I'm going to grab a few things while people get in here. If you can see me, put a 1 in the chat. That will tell me that there is something happening and that you can hear me and see me. So I'm just going to grab a couple things. I will be right back. Excellent. I see a 1. I'm coming. And I am back. All right. Let's get this thing started. So I am Mertie Mae. I am about 2.5 hours late, and I apologize for that. This is my very first live, and it's disorganized as one could expect. But hey, let's rip the bandage off and get this going. So, tell you a little story about what I was doing this evening. So, when you set up a live in advance on YouTube on your phone, what the first timer does not realize is that you have to go in and say you're going to go live, in order for it to like show you the option to get into your previously set up live, which I'm sure anyone who has ever YouTubed before and done a live is like, well, yeah, of course, duh. But I didn't know that, so I am learning. But anyways, I'm here now. Let's make this awesome. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about tomatoes, and I am going to be cleaning tomato seeds. And so if you have never saved tomato seeds, you're probably wondering what in the world is going on and what is that nastiness in the thing there. So I apologize for the sound of the water. I use the water hose because I am not taking this swill into my house. So what we have here is, these are some tomatoes that were harvested back, oh, let's see, today is the 26th? Yeah, 26th. And so these were harvested on the 20th and 21st. So once I harvest them, I extract the seeds, and the seeds get to ferment for a few days. And so like these, you can see there is skin and pulp. This was a tomato that was split or just not the quality that I would want to eat. And so I just throw it in the bag with all the gel and seeds, and we put them out to ferment for a few days. And this past week for us has been rather hot, so they fermented fast, and now I get the fun of cleaning them. And just be glad that you're watching this rather than smelling it. It's really not pleasant. No one would want to take this ferment and make it into something drinkable. And if they did, you'd have to wonder what was wrong with them. But enough about that. Let's talk about other things. I've got some questions here that I had customers ask me recently. We're going to go over them, talk about that a little bit while I clean some seed and get some work done, and go from there. And if you have a question, put it into the chat. I am not actively watching the camera, but I will try and keep an eye out if questions do come in, or if you want to comment on this lusciousness in my screen here. So one of the questions I had was about topsy-turvies and growing your tomatoes in a topsy-turvy. And to clarify what a topsy-turvy is, because topsy-turvy is a name brand, what that refers to, what that refers to is when you grow your tomatoes upside down in a bucket. Like, you can take a 5-gallon bucket, drill a hole in the bottom, pop your tomato in so that it is sticking out the bottom side of the bucket, and then you fill the bucket with soil, hang it up somewhere, and the tomato grows upside down. Topsy-turvy is a brand name that was out, oh gosh, probably 15, 20 years ago. They were the latest, greatest thing. You'd see infomercials about them on TV. Not maybe the 30-minute type, but the ones that were kind of more like where you'd get a 2-minute boring commercial during the news or something on a Sunday night sort of thing. And so they would sell these, and I think they sold them for like maybe $5 or $10 at Walmart, and more from private commercial places. But I've gotten this question so often throughout the years about, well, you know, I've grown them in those, and I just don't seem to have success, and what am I doing wrong, sort of thing. And well, the first thing that I can tell you is that you're not doing anything wrong. It's a gimmick, and they don't work. So as I told the customer earlier this week, it's not you, it's them. So I used to work for a company that sold topsy-turvies, and we would get customers that would contact us and have very poor success. And so we finally one day had the vendor for the topsy-turvies in, and he was talking about how many units we were going to buy for that next year and things like that. And I said, I gotta ask you, how do you guys get them to look so beautiful? Because these customers that I have contacting me just aren't having success, and the tomatoes that they're growing in them are poor looking at best. And so what's the trick? What is there, some kind of fertilizer, some kind of whatever? Because I, as a horticulturist, know that when you have a root, it grows down, and when you have a shoot, it grows up. And when you see the pictures of the topsy-turvies or upside down tomatoes when somebody's trying to promote it, it always has this massive plant that's hanging there and hanging down, and it looks beautiful. And the guy said, oh, we don't grow them upside down, we grow them upright. And I was like, wait, what? You grow them upright? That kind of defeats the purpose. Oh, no. They grew them upright. They grew them upright until they were to a good size. Then they would take and flip them upside down for a few days, so that the leaves, instead of the leaf being upside down, it'd flip right side up on the plant. And once it had done that, they took the picture. And they never grew them upside down the whole time. So if you're someone that wants to grow your tomatoes upside down, good luck, because they're not going to grow well that way. If you want to grow them in a container, you are so much better off just growing them in a container. Anyways, I'm going to run the water here a minute, and then we'll have another question. So another thing I often get asked a lot about with tomatoes, especially from people that know what I do for a living, they'll say, how do you avoid blight? And I do have a video up on my page about how I do my practices here with just kind of letting things go all natural and minimizing watering and things like that. If you want to check it out, you can go and look into that. This year we added something new to our lineup in terms of our cultural practices out in the field. We went with black plastic, and I spent so much time in years past weeding and hoeing, and I was basically chained to the field doing various things all summer with the tomatoes, and it didn't leave much time for my family or anything else. And so we decided to go with black plastic, and it has been just great. Very, very good. The person that suggested that to me really gave me a good suggestion there. What we've been doing, and you'll see this in some of the pictures that are going to be coming with our new items for this year, is that we've had them just laying on the plastic, and it works really well. And with the heat that we've had this summer, you would think that it would have cooked them, but thankfully not. And we don't have blight again, which, knock on wood. But let's see, so this is giant garden paste. So now that I've gotten to this part of the process, pretty much got all the ick cleaned out of my tomato seeds here. The stuff that's left is just going to be skins and things that I'm never going to get through that strainer. Make sure my strainer is clean just so I don't have anything for the next one. What's really nice with tomatoes is that the things you don't want float. So your skins and stuff will let this settle for a second. It floats off. And fermenting the seeds is a lot of work. But the reason why I do it is it kills a lot of different seed-borne pathogens. And it's a nice way to take the gel off that doesn't involve molding or any kind of things that harsh chemicals or whatnot that would not be good for the seed. In the industry, you'll often see that tomato seeds that you buy commercially that are mass-produced will have... Go away, Miller. They'll have no hairs on them. And that's due to being chemically cleaned. So many companies that do things on the large scale will just take and do it with machinery and chemicals and such, and doesn't matter for them if it's full of diseases or not, because, yeah, you know, that's just how it is. Bigger, better things that they have to think about. Alright, so that's about good. And that's it. So now these will dry for a few days. And if you want to buy them, you've now seen giant garden paste being cleaned. Giant garden paste is one of the new varieties that, assuming I have enough seed, this is just one cleaning of many. Assuming that there's enough seed, it will be offered this year. And of course, what do I mean by that, if there's enough seed? So for us seed companies, there's what's considered to be federal minimum. And so you have to have enough seeds in order to perform your quality control testing, germination testing, true type, etc. And still have enough seed above and beyond that to warrant selling. So for example, if this was my only plate of seeds, I wouldn't be selling it this year. This would just be stock seed for next year. But with all the many plates that I will have eventually of this, once I clean the things that I have here today, I will have more than enough for a lot. So this is going to go into dry, and we'll get the next one started. So I've been asked when the new watermelon video is coming. Tell you, when I made that watermelon video, it was almost 3 years ago now. And it was just kind of I'm going to make this video. I've been talking about it. I want to get something started on my channel. and it went from there. And I never thought that it would do as well as it has. I'm stunned. Praise the Lord. I'm closing in on, I'm not far from 100,000 views, and I'm just stunned and speechless. Yeah. Never thought I'd be there anytime soon. And so, but I've gotten so much feedback on that video and different things that people have asked and such. And so there is another video in the works. There are snippets of it made, and it's now just, I've got to get a couple other things and get those filmed and then piece it all together. And some things I'm going to be discussing in that are going to be talking about pollination points, which are supposedly a thing. They're really not, but we're going to bust that myth wide open. And I'm going to hopefully be doing some taste testing here. I need to get my crew together to do that. We'll see. If you're curious, the one that we're going to be doing next is Christmas grape. That is one that is currently offered. It's a really good cherry tomato. The fruits are like kind of perfectly round when you look down on them, but then slightly flat when you look at them from the side, which is called oblate. Hold on a second. Oh, there's one more. I'm going to run some water here. Apologize for the noise. Okay. So, is anyone here a seed saver, or ever done, whether it be tomato fermentation and seed saving, or other types of seed saving, beans, peppers, flowers, you name it? All right. That looks good. It's really quiet here tonight. I thought maybe I'd have some coyotes hooting, or maybe the bear would come visit for us. Just so long as it's not the local skunk, I can do without that for tonight. No excitement of that type needed. We have a resident fox in our area, and the fox loves our grapes, which, much to my chagrin, he'll go out and pick them for us. And he did a number on our ground cherries one year, which I was not pleased about. This year we have lychee tomatoes for the first time, and some snowberry or not snowberry, that's a tomato variety, sunberry, wonderberries, and huckleberries, which are a type of solanum, little black fruited things. And we've had the garden huckleberries in past years, but kind of trying to expand that, and I've just been hoping that he won't come and find out how delicious they are. Here, let me take my teeth and pick them off one by one, which is what he did with our grapes. I wouldn't have ever believed it if I hadn't seen the job that the fox did on those. It was just devastating, but very neat and tidy. All the little skins here. With these, sometimes it's just easier to throw them in whole and squish them. We have so many fruits that we try to eat a lot of these tomatoes, but with as many varieties as we grow and the volume, it's just impossible. So sometimes in order to stay semi caught up, you just throw the whole fruit in and squish. And it doesn't affect the fermenting. If anything, it's probably a little bit better to have more pulp. It's more natural the way God does it, and out in the field. If you were to leave them there, I mean, if you've ever had tomatoes and you accidentally drop one in the garden and next year you have so many coming up, it's basically mimicking that process when you put the whole fruit in. I often get asked, like, how do you do it? How do you keep things separate? And how is it possible to grow 200 plus varieties of tomatoes? And so what I kind of like to say is, well, if you grow 200 plus other varieties of other things in between. This year we have dry beans, snap beans, garbanzos, lentils, cowpeas, peppers, bell, hot, sweet, ornamental, tomatillos, ground cherries, eggplant, ornamental eggplant, okra, all different types of squash and cucumbers, pumpkins, gourds, various shorter day crops like lettuce and radish in between. So it works out. You have to be strategic, and of course you don't want to have things right next to each other that are going to potentially cross. But the one good thing with a lot of our things is that tomatoes are self-fertile, and you really have to do a lot to them to get them to cross-pollinate. So it's not the easiest thing in the world to have happen, and we take various steps to prevent that. And then once we have the tomatoes growing, everything is labeled. Everything out in the field, markers, stake-wise, is well labeled. And then when we pick them, they're put into bags. And the outside of the bag is labeled. The inside of the bag carries a tag. And so if you come across them while cleaning or extracting the seeds and such, if those two labels don't match, or if there are labels missing, I don't try and guess. It's just a loss. And that'll either become free seed or part of a mix or something like that. And then it's just labeled unknown paste tomato or unknown red tomato or whatever as appropriate. And I never try to guesstimate what it is. It's not worth it. All right. So, when you're buying tomato seeds, I know I've had people ask me about, can you tell the age of a tomato seed by the color of the tomato seed? And sometimes you'll get tomato seeds in a package and they'll be quite yellow in terms of what the industry considers yellow. And what that is they have like a pale yellow-brown color to them. And then sometimes you'll open a package of seed up and they will be more of a brown color. Kind of old looking, some people say, for lack of a better description. And people often think that, oh, well, as the seed ages, obviously it gets that duller, darker brown color. And what's interesting is that is not the case. So when you have tomato seeds, the color of the seed is somewhat contingent on the particular variety. Like with us, we grow... Sorry about that. With us, we grow every color of the rainbow tomato. And we will have ones that are darker colored due to the variety. Hold on a sec. The seed will be darker colored because the pigmentation is darker. Oftentimes, like the indigos and such, you will get some darker pigmentation mixed in with the seed when it ferments. If you have a more ripe fruit, the one that is more indigo colored. But the thing that is the key characteristic is the temperature at which you ferment them at. Hold on one second, I'm going to run the water. So, fermenting seeds at a higher temperature, like during the middle of the summer, is going to result in a very yellow colored seed. Whereas if you ferment them later in the season, more towards fall, when you have cooler temperatures, it prolongs the amount of time that's needed to ferment the seed. And so it will take on more of the pigment color of the tomato. And so when you wash the seed, it will appear more red or yellow or purple as appropriate to the particular variety of tomato that you're doing and its color. But then once that dries, that pigmentation, when it dries out, becomes more of a brown tone. So you can have seeds that germinate wonderfully well and they're brown, but just that they were probably fermented in about September as opposed to early August. One company that does their fermentation late in the season and that consistently has darker colored seed is Territorial Seed. They do all their own tomato growing, or at least a significant part of it. And if you ever buy tomato seeds from them, they are generally very dark. Get some of these floaters out just to make it a little easier. You know, a lot of people when I'm out and about, they'll say, "Why did you start a seed company?" Like, that just, wow, who do you know that starts a seed company? And when I tell them that when I was a child, when I grew up, I wanted to have a seed company, they're really floored by that. Like, how do you even come up with that? It's not the traditional, when I grow up, I want to be a veterinarian or a teacher or a doctor. And I grew up in a agricultural family. Everybody in my family pretty much was in some way, shape, or form in the agricultural industry, and more with the vegetable side of things than not. So it was kind of expected, I guess, based on my ancestry, that I was going to go into something ag-related. The seed company, though, particularly came about due to things that I ran into when I worked in the seed industry. I worked for a number of years for several companies and lived in different places and had different experiences. And the one thing that really struck me in all my different jobs is that I saw, like with the topsy-turvy tomatoes, that there were so many gimmicks and that people were so led astray and didn't really know what they were getting. Hold on a sec. I ran into people that were high up in seed companies that were like, a red tomato is a red tomato is a red tomato, and it's just not. And there is so much diversity out there when you talk about open pollinated and heirloom varieties of tomatoes. And I wanted to do something where I could use my talents and skills to help people out in a way that wouldn't be a gimmick. And so it kind of led me down the road to where I am. And that's kind of just a short, not pre-planned, long description of how I got to where I am. But maybe another time I can do the full history lesson on how Mertie Mae's heirloom seeds came to be. But anyways, we are over a half hour, and considering that this is my first live, I think it's time that I can end this. I'm just going to check and see if anyone had any questions that I missed. Oh, okay. Have I tried the purple peppers? What kind of purple peppers? I have. I have grown, right now, in fact, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I have, I think, 5 types of purple peppers growing. And then I have 4 varieties of black peppers growing. And in terms of the purple, I have both sweet peppers, like a bell type, and I have hot peppers. I have a purple cayenne, bueno mulata, which is, it's not quite cayenne, but it's a chili type. Purple Beauty, and what's the other one? Now the name is slipping. Oh, Purple Serrano and Purple Jalapeno. So yes, I have grown them, and they are delicious. Of course, I say that about everything. I like all the. If I grow it, I like the variety. There are very few varieties of anything that I've come across that I have a particular outright hatred to. And even before I say I don't like a variety, I will test it out in different ways to see if I really do or don't like them. The ones that look like bell peppers, well, that's a lot of, okay, so the bell peppers, so that'd be like a Purple Beauty. Yes, I have them. And so with purple bell types, they will start out as either green or yellow. And I'm sure there's more than one variety that starts out yellow, but the one that comes to mind right off the top of my head is a favorite one. It's from Johnny Seeds. It's Islander Hybrid, and that is one that they say it's ivory, but it's really a pale yellow bell pepper, and it will then go to a very just stunningly beautiful purple color. The other kind that I'm growing right now is Purple Beauty, and they start out as just a traditional green bell pepper, usually 4 to 5 lobes on the bottom, sometimes 3, but usually 4 to 5. And so about this time of year, they're starting to turn much darker purple. Mine are kind of at the stage where they're black. And when I say black, it's not like black as night black, but it's not the end color. And what it is it's kind of that purple tone mixed with the green, and it is a little bit darker, murkier color. But yeah, they're great. And usually peppers that like were with a purple one or an orange one or whatever, when you're growing a bell pepper for it to be, you know, it's going to start out green or yellow and it's going to eventually turn to something else, you're not going to see that secondary coloration that's the ripe color for several weeks. And depending on the variety, it varies a little bit. Usually it's about a month after you have the pepper set, you'll have them start to color up. It's dependent upon degree days and how many hours of sunlight you have, and then depending on the particular variety, how that works in, especially with the hybrids. A lot of them vary, and it's due to day length. But in general, you can say in 4 to 6 weeks after a pepper sets, it will color. So if you look on the particular varieties packet where it has the days to maturity, oftentimes they'll have a range, like they'll say 85 to 100. That 100 is closer to where you're going to have coloration of whatever, you know, red, purple, yellow, orange on that pepper, as opposed to, you know, the 85 or the 70 or whatever that lower number would be, is where you're going to have just a green bell pepper or yellow, you know, ivory, yellowy, light yellow bell pepper to consume fresh that is not colored. So I hope that answers your question. If not, put some details there. And so anyways, yeah, I appreciate the questions. It makes me not just ramble about boring things and random things. But anyways, and if you come up with a question in between times, my hope is to make this, you're welcome. Thanks for asking. My hope is to make these lives occur with more frequency. Summer is always busy for us, just with the farm here and all the many tasks, and plus all the traditional summer things that everyone has. And I want to get into a pattern of at least doing one live per week. And I don't know what day of the week it will be, but I know I generate the questions through email and such, that I can definitely have a weekly live, if not more than that. So if you have a question that comes up during the week, go to mertiemae.com. There's a link there for contacting me, and that will drop an email directly to me to answer your question. Generally how it works, I will respond and answer your question, and then of course I will come on live at some point and answer it publicly, or depending on what it is, I might do a video off of it. There's a lot of videos I have to upload here in the near future. It's just the sitting down and editing, and it's a learning process. I have some new software that I am working with that's more involved. And so I'm getting there, but it takes time. And so I hope that at some point here in the near future, I will have stunning amounts of new content. And once frost comes, there will be more time to devote to that. So anyways, for all of you that have tuned in, thank you so much. I see there's quite a few of you coming in here in the last couple minutes. And so feel free to back it up and watch it from the beginning. And I apologize for the first few minutes there when I was figuring things out. We'll just call it that. First time live, there's always going to be some flies in the ointment and quite a few prayers said to get things rolling on the right track. But I think in the end, we got it figured out well, and got some tomato seeds cleaned here. And yeah, great evening. So thank you so much, and hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye.